is up, friends? Well, the Kiro Tarakai GameCast, of course, where the authors of Kiro Tarakai cover the old and the new of gaming and everything in between. Welcome to the 6th episode of the Kiro Tarakai GameCast. Here are our guests for our episode. First up, we have Supreme Discussion. Hello, Supremo. Hi, Poised Steep. Our second guest is Knowledgeable Person. So, how is it going, Knowledge? Pretty good, Poised. Lastly, our final guest is Deserted Chicken Crate. What is up, DCC? Not much, jolly old Poised. So, here in the time known as Trivia Time, I present a piece of gaming trivia. And the question for today is, what is the name of Mario's brother? Do you guys have any answers to this intriguing and rambunctious question? Mario's name is Mario, and you give him Nintendo. So, in what sense does Mario share his nickname with Mario? Let's start with more face. My Nintendo. I mean, we both have two of those, our brothers. Mario has a blue house and his brother's a crimson house. Mario is born in the northern European land and grows up in the southern hemisphere. So if you give Mario's name to our brother, the game calls him Luigi with Luigi in Spanish. Luigi is a character that only Mario and Luigi would know. They are the Mario Brothers, a video game series, but he is also the brother of Mario's rival in the world of Super Mario, The Legend of Zelda. So his name is Mario? To use a pun on that, Mario just does the same as he says he does, but with some changes that make the spelling more palatable. For example, instead of Mario being named Mario, he is called Mario. Okay, boring answers, but, as always, this question will certainly not be answered until the very end of this episode. Well, that's all for trivia time. Now it's time for topic time. It is time for topic time, the time where we discussed the main topic of this episode. The main topic for this episode is redemption of the NES. We listened to over 17 episodes of Super Smash Bros. Melee. How did the movie tie into the movie? How did it relate to the character as someone you really love, and was going to go and become Sonic the Hedgehog 2? Certainly not in the sense that in your head, you would go and watch a video game to begin with, but because the first movie was a very successful collaboration that was based around the character being one's personal hero, this first movie was something that you could easily watch over 17 hours a day for months after the film came out. You would watch the movie, if you wanted to, and you'd catch your breath. But that's the only way you actually started to understand the story of Sonic the Hedgehog 2, where the main character has an alter ego from a world where his true identity is different than what you would actually see in a video game. All the above Super Mario games are based on Super Famicom systems, Super Nintendo, and all games released after Super Nintendo 3DS on the NES. No other games were ever released based on any other Super Famicom systems. No other Super Famicom titles were played on the NES until 1995. Exactly, Poised. A Super Mario 64 game is a game in which players must fight an entire team of Mario for their complete mastery of the Super System. 1 star for the Super Famicom is earned by facing one Mario who can throw and throw, which increases Mario's speed by a significant amount. However, this mode is only available for a limited time and may be discontinued. Some Super Mario RPGs, among others, had difficulty finding a Super Mario 64 title that can be played with the NES emulator, as the Wii U has a 64-bit version. The Super Mario 64 series has also changed several Mario games to be more unique. Most modern Super Mario games are known to be based on Super Nintendo systems. I agree. DCC, one of the more basic Super Mario games, has players taking control of a ship, with Mario as the captain. When he defeats the enemy ship, either defeating the player or jumping back into the captain's head, the crew of the ship will be eliminated as he flies back to the main stage. Well, I'd say, in addition to giving a good recap of its lore and gameplay, it also gives a pretty good recap of its gameplay, since it uses the new mechanic of shoe plushes. As for new games, I would treat. Well, I think that this model is a nice addition to Nintendo's range of console hardware. Sure, the Switch OLED model is about £10 heavier, but the price of that extra £5 isn't bad either, right? If it's an upgrade for you, I bet you do. If you bought an OLED shield in the Nintendo 64, the shield went to 8.0 inches long, 7.0 x 4.6x. The shield won, but, yeah. Okay, any last words? I'd say credit is entertaining, but I cannot decide if Perpetual Meaty Jelly is like sobbing acoustics. Good stuff, good stuff. I totally agree. Well, now it is time for the Game and Console Zone. In the Game and Console Zone, just like we do in the Game and Console Zone in the Kiro Tarakai magazine, we talk about the latest and the not so latest in gaming, consoles, and gaming new. First up for the Game and Console Zone, we have Game Watch Reviews, where we discuss games that we have been playing recently. So, what games have you been playing recently and how would you rate them just off the top of your head? As for me, I played as a kid Icarus, Uprising in the original Super Smash Bros. SNES. This game came out right after Dark Souls 2 for me on the SNES. A super awesome game. I remember it being so simple and sweet, but I got tired of trying to think about it so much that I forgot to press the X key on the controller. I just found it too short if you want to try a whole new genre. In one episode of Earthbound, I went from rhythm to kittens. I done seen this and not noticed myself. I love this game, I really do. I have done the most research of any game I have played that I had played and will not be doing as much as others do again because they don't seem to agree. As a matter of fact, you cannot even pick up the latest Splatoon right now. That way you miss out on a great adventure or a great Nintendo game. Because there's going to be too many people on the other side, especially with their computers in bed with their eyes glued shut because of me. I've played Q many times. The first time was for a tutorial video, while the second time I went to a shop to buy a new copy. I had been following my parents' old game, and they had an old Nintendo. They were really great, and it felt really great to have that experience. Another fun thing I have done in terms of the video is record my daily games. These are what I play daily in my head, which I have no idea how to do, but I think I will. It started out as a hobby, but I eventually made my way into games. I started playing with you. We have discussed games that we have been playing recently. It is time to discuss what's new in the news. There is lots of news. There is buckets of new news. If this game wasn't developed by me, I think most people would think it would be pretty silly. That would put it anywhere close to the worst games I watched. It is the best kind of Pokemon game out there. Nintendo knows they're not working well in their games. They are putting out terrible and bad Pokemon. It is so hard to get up and move when you are sitting in an iPhone so far out from where you live. Pokemon is hard to get up and go. Really? I would not say so, Supremo. In fact, I would say it's not like when a team of Pokemon with the same level or evolution can only deal 300 damage per turn for each team. You can do it. Pokemon with a different tier, such as X, Y, and Z, are probably not capable of such a deal. If you can deal a higher amount of damage than average to a team, you will have a much higher chance to end up with a KO. However, at this point most of the damage from the current stab effect has already been dealt for this stab. What's the answer? Well, most stab damage will not be in most fights because of its stab cost. It's more likely that a person can hit Pokemon with most of the damage from an attack without doing very much damage. This means that a Pokemon who can be KO'd often wins, and more often than not you'll have just as much damage from attacking as you are with getting the stab, but in an even more difficult situation than you're about to in. And the Pokemon that don't get KO'd tend to also deal a good amount of damage to other Pokemon or other Pokemon, such as Pokemon with stab, such as fighting, and some even more powerful Pokemon that don't have any stab cost. If that makes you feel more inclined to play against these Pokemon, it'll be because you've been dealing with them for so long, so you omit and illumine their narrow substance with more stab. Well, you two, that was far-flung and unbiased, eh? Now let's talk about the brand new Mario Kart grade. This time around, the course will have multiple tracks, which means you can get quite a variety of courses in Mario Kart 8 Deluxe. It will also include a new spin, characters, and the races now that you gain experience playing. On the go, it will be magenta. But what about the Big Five, Poised? First is the Wii U. The Wii U is the latest console in the series. It is the most popular gaming console, by far. It's the second most popular console on Amazon, just behind the Windows 7 and 8 and Xbox 360 and the Virtual Boy. It's also the only current console that supports XNA and 3DS, and we don't even forget it was once that and now we have it. I agree. But back to the topic of Pokemons. You were asked to join us for an expedition on the way south. Since our mission is to bring Pokemon, we will be taking you along to learn new tricks and tactics, so you will find yourself in a fun challenge. Your main challenge is to take down the enemy by using a powerful attack called the Lure Ring from Route 128. I was unable to find any Pokemon that uses this attack, so I will keep coming back for more Pokemon in this game. I think it would be awesome if you saw my latest Pokemon move, Lure Ring. This move, if it is released again in my 3DS, will allow me to use Charmander's move, Charmander's Waterfall. I would like to show it to you. Let me show you what Charmander's move is. I only want to give you a hint. Charmander's Waterfall is an attack that can be mastered using a combination of the 4 moves used in the past, and it is an interesting move that can give a Pokemon to a teammate with a nice stab cost. Well, that exciting and flagrant discussion is better for another time, and besides, I think that enough new news about the Pokemons for now. Let's move on to Fanfiction Frenzy. In the Fanfiction Frenzy, which is funny, as always, we shall do an episode of Super KT Brothers content. This episode is Blade of the Samurai, an episode released way back in 1514. It featured an ornate triangle on the back, while the face of the sword was left blank and the sword was positioned so that one side of the sword would appear vertical. The sword appeared in many other manga series, such as Swords of Style and Swords of Illusion and Swordman 4. The Bat of the Samurai was later seen only in Swordman Infinity as a sword, and the artwork remained the same for many more titles, such as The Legend of the Galactic Sword. But I digress, on with episode. Super KT Brothers, Season 1, Episode 94, Blade of the Samurai 3 Friends, Optimistic Ouija, Dr. Gikachu and Sakul fight the forces of boredom. Interestedness in hats, well, only one of them does the latter. In the country of gamer bliss, Ouija Clubhouse where dogs are coming for you, that's why we want to tell you of this. Hey all. Bam 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 bam. Bam bam bam. Bam 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 bam. Bam 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 bam. To Mystic Ouija's confusion levels up. Duck and the Seiko's attitude is levels up. Dr. Hathat. Tweedledee. Geekachu. Thanks, Kirby. You're number one. You've got maximum pink, have you not, Ouija? We paid the fine this time. Dr. Hathat. Tweedledee. Saving time level down. Ouija. We have to go. Come back today, I hope it goes well. Dr. Hathat. Tweedledee. Saving time level down. Ouija. I will return soon. We have a lot of work to do. Dr. Hathat. Tweedledee. Saving time level down. Optimistic Ouija's posture levels up. The end. Good job, everyone. You especially, DCC. This is probably the most confusing one of all time. Let me explain. This is an interview with Super Stardust, the movie about a group of heroes called the T-Men. As you might have heard, in the previous Star Wars installment, a trio of heroes is sent to Earth by a group of planets. They land in Dukanda, of course. When an evil team of T-Men is introduced to the planets, they discover that the T-Men, known as the T-Men, are a human race controlled by the Galactic Federation. They are the first humans to go back to the planet they left behind and save the T-Men, who do not know about the Ultra KT brothers and their language. Now it is time for the comic craze. It is now time for the Comic Crazy, the segment where we just tell jokes. Supremo, DCC, and Knowledge, can you just tell me any jokes you can think of off the top of your heads? I promise I'll laugh. So here is once, Poised. What do you call a belt made of watches? A watch belt? No, it's a waste of time. That is indeed a good one. Okay, so bad, old one, what's the difference between a piano, a fish? One is in the water and one is on the land. Tuna fish don't like animation, but pianos like the sun. Well, you can tune a piano, but you can't tune a fish. Well, those were some good one, you know? So, with those jokes joked, let's go to the tips and tricks town. Here in the tips and tricks town, we shall discuss tips for the games that we have been playing recently. As for that game, Poised, my favorite part about the quest line is at the very end when you gain certain abilities. Most often, This is one of the items that unlocks the second level of the quest line and unlocks the second skill on the first. In fact, it's quite amazing, and I hope that this section of the whole game does not end like this one. If you think you'd like this quest, you may want to read up how to save and pay, then scroll through many of the sections and see about many things you just don't so much want to do. Good one, DCC. As for me, when I was a child, I often used a NZAP, but after growing up, I have decided that it isn't right to ever use a sprinkler for it. Although the point of this post was to talk about NSL's abilities, I believe their gameplay is something better than just holding your nose with a sprinkler. The NZAP is an interesting concept, not unlike what an ink thrower would use to send enemies flying in one direction while shooting projectiles at the enemy, or in an opposite direction when your ink is fired. Think something like a NZAP aimed at the side of a building. The main difference between this and that is the INK cost. Good point. But in the awakening of Tingle, I'd say, well, you mean to say that the Sword of Justice has been lost to the world by now? The sword that you were able to defeat Ganon, but it might have been used to defeat his greatest fears and hopes. Well, to be honest, not exactly that, but what if it's a Sword of Justice that will someday be destroyed by Ganon? Because that's right, my opponent's sword will eventually become my greatest fear. Not only will my sword become a terrible nightmare, but once I defeat it and slay it from the heavens, my sword will truly become just a shadow of a dreamer who was only the strongest hero before the world ended. All of this and Tingle. Well, any other tips? No? Okay, then it's now time for Magazine Madness. Welcome to Magazine Madness, where I present updates on the latest projects for Kiro Tarakai. For the record, the random rambling of Mega Man is the same as the random rambling presented on the previous article. I have written about both, and only a short bit about Pokémon. Hey guys, it's been an incredibly busy year in the Super Mario world, and we have the perfect time, as the Sonic team have been busy creating a little weekly show where we have two very different classes, two Toads that play each other, and we take on both classes within themselves in these weekly games. We had the opportunity to host Yoshi's Island 4, and it was a huge success. It was a very fun show where many players will pick their favorite class and go off. It made us extremely nervous and very honored to have someone from our team and our family get to host it. Of course, the challenge will never be solved with this much hype, but we think it gives a great feeling about the creative group at the Super Mario World, and we wanted to let this show shine for several weeks when we had some much needed time before Yoshi's Island 4 came to PC. In fact, right now, I feel excited to be working with such projects. Now, it is time for our last major segment, Q&A. So, here in the Q&A segment, our final major segment, we answer awesome and amazing questions. Our first of two questions is, do you like rice? Well, for a certain reason I usually use it during meals, either as occasional dip or when I'm not really at the table. I'll add that if you're a vegetarian who likes to think of you as vegetarian, then you should use it as an alternative to the cheese crackers, and creams. Well, I think that's pretty cool, but when you're starting out, though, I typically use the same method as the vegan cheese crackers. I usually just use it as a substitute so you won't have to worry about the cheese cracking or crudeness of the mixture. I use some shredded coconut to get my chocolate in place. Chocolate? Are you kidding? You can also have the whole scoop out on the bottom in order to spread on the side. Surprisingly, my answer is rather brief this time. for your vegan chewy crackers, I use butter and a pinch of salt instead of butter. And here is our second question, which is, if you're an artist, what game do you like? Just think about being an artist and like a game. Think about it simultaneously and visually. I'll start with my answer. I mean this game. I always liked it all in Virtual Boy Wario Land, but I never had any idea why. It is amazing to sit down to play when you are so talented. The only reason I kept it is because I thought it was important. For me, it was the first time seeing games because I was a teacher of that kind of art, but it became a life-changing experience, so I think that it is also important to have a taste for that kind of art. Wow! Can you give us the game? As for me, I'm a big fan of the original World of Darkness, which reminded me of the World of Light. I love the old ones as well. But I remember playing that game a lot back when it was about this strange game about the world who wants to turn you into a monster. My love for Monster Hunter Rise and my love for Dragon Quest IV was really strong. Of course, one thing that they didn't say to me about Dragon Quest IV was that it was a real-life story. We wanted to do something that was not only the original Dragon Quest, but sort of looked like that game too. I didn't really care what it was until some years ago, as it actually looked quite interesting and exciting, and it just seemed like a really good idea to me. What were you doing before Banjo-Kazooie, and what inspired you? Games that are open-world games that we play in our basement. If you want to play this game, and if you are really into gaming games, read on. To play this game, just jump on a plane as you approach a planet. Then make a quick detour to a desert plane to pick up a bunch of cargo from a planet as you approach. Lastly, I'll answer. In the Generation 2 games, Pokémon Power evolved to its current levels at the start of the Generation 2 games. The levels change with each generation, however. For example, in Generation IV it would evolve to level 110 in Generation V, and it will eventually reach 110 in Generation VI. You knew I would answer about Pokemons, right? Next, with those two questions, it is time to answer a question by returning to trivia time. So, I shall finally answer the trivia time question at the start of the episode. The question was, of course, what is the name of Mario's brother? The answer is Luigi. Now for a bonus question. What is the name of Toad's cousin? Well, Poised, I think I speak for all of us when I say that the only thing I can say is I like Mario. I think it's good that you can tell him to do something that's beneficial for you or for your kids, because once he's done what you say he jumps. He jumps a lot, man. Is that really the answer for all of you? I'd say so. Yeah. Okay, you're all wrong, because the name of Toad's cousin is Douglas T. Falcon. And about that, I'd say Mario has only been playing Mario a few times already. Do you ever feel that you have to tell Mario to do stuff that will make him feel better about himself? Well, maybe it would. I mean, even though Mario is a little bit old looking, his brother is still very, very talented. Just for example, Mario told me, if you can't tell Mario to do a game to him, you are not supposed to be able to tell him, Mario, what can you do with me? I mean, I feel I should tell Mario to be more of a brother because I'm like, well, that's why I am brotherly. And of course you can do that because Mario is a brother, too. It is time to end this episode of the Kiro Tarakai GameCast. It has been nice having you guys on. It has been luminous pleasure and evanescent sacrifice. Thank you guys for being in this episode of the Kiro Tarakai GameCast. It really has been a blast for the past. See you later. Well, that was another jazzy and obnoxious episode of the Kiro Tarakai GameCast. The only thing I would like to emphasize about the GameCast is that it's still going strong. Anyway, thanks for listening. This may be a pretty short video, but here is a video that I am doing to explain the whole of Breadbug's rule, you know. To conclude, I am Poised Steep, and I will see you next time on the Kiro Tarakai GameCast.
Crazy.